Hello everybody, good evening. Welcome to Office Adda 247. Today in this particular video, we'll be talking about the IFS subject, and when we are moving ahead for the IFS subject only, I would say that from today, that is unit number 14th, you will have a good foundation for the upcoming chapters, because we have covered unit number 12th, 13th, which were based solely on the microeconomics. We just defined the terms in the unit number 12th, and in unit 13th we tried to execute via supply and demand. Now we'll be moving towards the macroeconomic and the macroeconomic aspects of our country. And when we talk about macroeconomics, you will be able to understand what all lies ahead for us in the IFS via unit number 15, 16, 17, 19 and 18th unit. Most probably you will be having all those numericals, all those formulas which are required to crack this examination. But yes, for unit 14th, which is the agenda for today, you must focus on two topics. First, the measure of money supply. Secondly, you must know that what all types of you can say tools are there with the economists, with the government, with the RBI also, to measure the inflation level in our country. So when I talk about the inflation levels, one second. So the inflation levels, they will be determined by the various measures. Fine, measure of money supply, we will be talking about that. But measure of inflation, it is done in our country by CPI, that is consumer price index. And along with that, there are other concepts which are not being used in our country per se, but they are important to measure the inflation, like WPI, wholesale price index, and GDP deflator. But for today, we will solely focus on the measures of money supply. So let's get started. First of all, what do we mean by money supply? So simply stated, if we are talking about a particular time duration, for that particular time interval only, we can define the money supply. It's not a concept which you can define holistically for entire, you can say 1950s till today. You have to add up for a particular time duration. That's the first and the foremost thing which you need to understand. Secondly, when we talk about the publication of the money supply, then it depends upon the fortnightly basis. Why? Because RBI publishes the data fortnightly basis. That is, after every 15 days, you will be able to know the actual level of money supply in our country. So the basic definition refers to the stock of all the type of money available with the public at a given point of time. Time is of essence here when we talk about the definition of money supply. Stock refers to what? The currency in the form of notes as well as coins, plus the deposits. That is also very, very important. So in the definition of a particular measure of money supply, you will find two things. One, where you only consider the demand deposit. Secondly, you will be considering both the demand deposit as well as the time deposit. And where you are having a holistic picture of the deposits in a country, you will say that this is known as the broad money. For us, it is M3, and for maximum countries also, it is M3 only. You might see one or two components here and there for other countries, but yes, more or less the measure will remain the same, that is M3. So starting off our discussion with M0, why do we define a particular measure of supply, that is money supply, as M0? Because it is a buffer. Always remember, it acts as a buffer for the unforeseen circumstances. If a particular economy is having a negative growth, and for a long duration of time it is projected that the economic scenario will remain like that only, then you must have certain buffer in order to sustain your economy, and this particular M0 will be providing you with that reserve. That is why it is also known as reserve money or high powered money. So M0, what all components are there? These components are important for all the measures of money supply, be it M0, M1, M2, M3 or M4. Question in the examination will hover around these measures of money supply only, and they will be giving you, the examiner will provide you with the information about, let's suppose, one component, two component, you have to calculate the third one, like that. So M naught, it includes the currency in circulation. It is the entire currency which is in circulation, including the currency with the public as well as in the banks. When you talk about the bankers deposit with the RBI, the reserves, fine, SLR, CRR, whatever being held by the RBI. So quick question for you here, whether CRR is being held by the RBI or not. Do let me know in the comment section, or is it just SLR or vice versa. Next, we have other deposits with the RBI, wherein you will find three components. First of all those deposits done by the financial institutions, when we talk about the transactions which are being done using a third party or a financial intermediary like primary dealer. Then the balances in the accounts of foreign central governments or the foreign central banks. Next, we have the accounts of international agencies which are providing funding to our country, be it IMF or for that matter any other financial organization. So these three clubbed together form the third part, that is other deposits with the RBI. Next, we have M1, wherein you will find 100% liquid money. Why? Because this particular component entails every amount of money which is in circulation, be it the currency with public. We have seen currency in circulation. How you will arrive at currency with the public? By subtracting the bank's deposits in the particular currency which has been held in the entire economy. So currency in circulation minus the cash held by the banks will give you currency with the public. Demand deposit with the banking system, you will be adding that also along with the other deposits with the RBI. So from here you will find a reference of demand deposit. It is also known as narrow money. Why? Because of the opposite nature as compared to the broad money. That is why it is known as narrow money. Nothing else is the reason. What is broad money? Simply you are adding the time deposits also in the M1. Okay, M1 plus time deposits, you will get the broad money, that is M3. Next, when we talk about the other types of measure of money supply, it will be your M2, where M1, the narrow money, will be one of the component, but along with that, post offices, the saving deposits in the post offices will also be considered. So M2 will be equal to M1 plus the post office savings. Okay, so M2, here what you can remember or what kind of question can be asked, that is also one of the common doubt which students have. Mostly for M2, the type of question revolves around the saving deposits, and there will be 2 or 3 components given in the question where they will ask you demand deposit with the banking system, then term deposit will also be given to you, plus they will give you the saving deposit with the post offices, and you have to decide whether to include the time deposit or not, because time deposit is a component in M3. Like that, confusing question can be asked in the exam. Next, when we talk about the money supply, that is the broad money, M3. Why it is known as the money supply? Because ultimately RBI implements the policy related to the money supply using this particular measure of money supply. So broad money will include M1, which has everything except for your time deposit, and you will be adding this time deposit in order to achieve at your figure for M3, that is broad money. Now when we talk about time deposit, mostly we also know that FD and RD are the two major components for your time deposits, but along with that you must remember that the time liabilities portion of saving bank deposits is also one of the criteria while we define the time deposits. And in the question, in the examination, the examiner can ask you, or they can give a particular component based on the saving banks component for the time deposit. So you have to add that as well. Next, when we talk about M4, 4. So M3, along with that, you will be adding up the post offices component, and the component will not only be including the time deposit saving, but entire deposits of your post offices, except for two things. One, NSC, that is National Savings Certificate. Secondly, the Kisan Vikas Patra. Only these two will be excluded. What is the reason of the exclusion? Because they have the maturity date beyond 6 years. So till 7 years, 8, 9, 10 years, you have the maturity date, and they do not reflect the actual figure for the money supply of the country. Fine. So this was it for the measures of money supply when we talk about various parameters which are important for the examinations. And for your reference, what I have done is given you a quick chart. From here you can just revise like the important ones. M0 is not given because mostly question is not asked from there. Quick revision. M1 will be what? Currency with the public plus net demand deposit. So currency with public plus demand deposits plus other deposits held by the RBI, PDR, like that. Try to learn via mnemonics. Try to retain the formulas for any kind of formulas using mnemonics. So PDR is M1. When I talk about M2, so in PDR I will be adding the component of savings for post office. Okay, for post office. Then M3, for M1, whatever the component was, you will be adding only one thing, that is the time deposit. So PDR plus T will be the M3. For M4, you will be adding what? You will be adding M3, along with that the entire deposits of your post offices. And what will be the exclusion here? NSC and your Kisan Vikas Patra. Okay. So this was it for your measure of money supply. If you have any kind of doubt, you can just ask me in the comment section. If you feel that this particular video was helpful for you, do share this video with all your colleagues so that they can also reap the benefit of this particular session, and be very realistic while watching the videos on YouTube, because your time really matters. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, goodbye. Take care.